What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the mastering chain that I used to master one of my tracks that is in my latest EP. If you didn't check that out, make sure to stream it on all digital platforms. But I wanted to choose this track and just show you the mastering chain that I use here, which is really good. I think you can hear from the preview at the beginning of this video. And I chose this track because it is surprisingly the most popular one out of the three that I put out on that EP. You let me know which one is your favorite out of those three tracks if you listen to the EP itself. For me, I love all those tracks. They are beautiful to me, but people have different opinions as well. So now let's get into the mastering of this track. And before I get into it, I just also wanted to let you know that, with mastering, when I approached it with this project, I wanted all my tracks to sound similar and to sound, nice and unique. But at the same time, I just wanted to make the songs sound how I wanted them to sound. I didn't use some specific rules on how mastering should be done and things like that. I just wanted to go with the feeling that I wanted to add to the tracks themselves. Okay, so let's begin. So you can see everything is loaded up here and everything is enabled. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch all of these effects off right there. So we start from the beginning, and with this chain, it starts from the top and goes to the bottom. That's the order of things. I think it's the same also in FL Studio and other DAWs, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. So the first effect here is the tube EQ. So I'm just going to play back around here, and then I'm just going to engage it and turn it on as I play this back so that you can hear the difference with and without this EQ. So this EQ is a vintage tube EQ, and all these effects, by the way, they're all stock Logic effects. So nothing third party, just all stock effects. It just makes my life easier because I'm not trying to use anything super fancy just to show off things by being fancy without the functionality, because stock plugins are also as good, especially here in Logic, right? Okay, so let me play this back. Did you hear the difference that this added? It added a lot of shine to the track. Like, that's what I really like about it. And you can see the preset here is called Master Shine. It added really good shine and really nice warmth to the track, and just added a beautiful tone to the track itself, you see, because I have some high boosting that is happening here, and I also boosted a little bit of the low. So that's 3 dB for the lows and then 7 dB for the highs. You don't have to go this far depending with how high frequencies are super powerful in your track. If you have too many high frequencies that are too high in your track, then you don't need to add 7 dB. So it's not a thing where you copy this value, but you just have to make sure that you put it to a value where you're not over adding these boosts. You don't want to overdo it. And then you also have some drive here to add some harmonics to it. So this is some saturation. The output model is silky. I like this output model. So it's around here by 4, right? So that's what this is doing. And then the next thing here, which is super exciting for me to show because it's my first time actually using this on a track, is Chromag Glow. This came with the recent update of Logic Pro. So I was super excited to try out this new plugin. So this Chromag Glow plugin is a saturation plugin, and it sounds great. Like, everybody that I've seen speak about this, they've been giving it praises and saying it's super good. And I wanted to try it out, and it is really good. So I'm just going to play the track back again, and then I'm just going to cut it on. So I hope you heard that difference there on that little demo. It's actually a really nice plugin. It adds some really nice texture to the track, and you can use this on anything, because right now I was using it on the master, but you can use it on your drum mixes, your instrument mixes, and even like single instruments themselves, like kicks, any drum sound that you have, or even synthesizers if you want to. It's a really cool effect. So the model is right here by Modern Tube. That's the one that I picked, and you also have other models you can choose here. And the style is clean and not colorful. Sometimes I will try the colorful, but I really like the clean one because it's not doing too much. The drive is set up at 58%. That's where I felt it was a good blend. And then the bypass, it's bypassing everything below this frequency here, 455 hertz. Everything else in the low end is not being touched by this effect, by this plugin, because I want to leave all my low end untouched, because for me, how I mixed it is fine. What I did to my low end was totally perfect for me. And then the mix of everything is on 50%. I just wanted to have it. I felt that was a good place. And this is a really cool plugin. Like, I really like the graphics on this plugin. They really look really cool. I like them. It's just pretty. And then the next thing here was a compressor. And when it comes to this compressor, I added it to catch a lot of peaks in the track, because if I show you this track and if I show you the waves of this track, especially around here by the drums, you can see that the drums, especially the loops, they have a lot of transients right here. So I wanted to kind of tame those a little bit, just a little bit, without over compressing, because there's so much happening in this track. I didn't want to over compress the track, so it's just a little bit. So let me demo this for you so you can hear and see what it's doing. So you can see there it's starting to move, right? So you can tell that this is almost like half a dB, right? It's not doing too much, and it's right here by Davinci, and the preset is the drum mix preset. That's the one I'm just using. I think it sounds great, but I just wanted to catch these transients. And if you look at the graph, which is something that I also like to use in conjunction, right? In conjunction. I hope I said that right. English is, yeah, it's crazy. I like to use the meter so I can see how many dBs. Because if I play like that, I can clearly see how many dBs are being reduced. And if I use the graph, I kind of have an idea, but I cannot really tell the precise dB that is being reduced here. So I just like to use both and play around. So these are all the settings right here. Again, you don't really have to copy these settings, but you can if you want to, just to have a starting point. But when it comes to the threshold, it depends with your own preference, like how much of this compression do you want to add. But for me, the ratio at where it is right now, it's totally perfect. I like to leave my ratio right there. So that's the compression. And then after that, I wanted to add a little bit more tone to the track. So I added another channel EQ so I can add more tone to the track. Let me just put this on 100 to make it bigger. So now if I play it back, you can see here that I added some mid-range and some high-end just to brighten the track up and lift it a little bit. And I just left the low frequencies as they were, because the track it has enough bass already, but I just wanted to add a lot of, this mid-range, especially the mid-range. I felt it was a little bit lacking. And then I just added a little bit more brightness, just a little bit, just to make sure, everything is a little bit, it's a little bit brighter here. So that's what that was doing. And then after this, I was happy with the tone of everything and how everything overall was sounding. The only final thing that I wanted to add to this track was just the overall loudness of everything. That's where this adaptive limiter came in, where I wanted to add like really nice loudness to the track. So I'm going to play it back, and then I'm just going to switch on the adaptive limiter, but the track will go from loud, it'll go from being soft to being loud. So just make sure that, your level is tuned nicely and it's a little bit lower, so that when it gets loud, your ears are not going to get damaged in case it was super high. Okay, so here we go. So as you could tell that the reduction here that was happening was 2.8, the reduction, which is mostly, I think, the kick. The kick is the one that is like really peaking out overall out of everything else, because I made sure in the mix to sidechain a lot of all the sounds out and make sure that the kick really punches through, so that it becomes more of like the louder instrument in the whole track, because I want the kick to pump. I want the kick to be super present and be super there. So that's what's happening here with the reduction. And so you can see the gain here. I added 6 dBs of gain. So if I switch this off and I play the track, you can see here by the meter it was hitting minus 6 dB. So I had to, balance that out and add that back in, because my mix had a lot of headroom of 6 dB. I like to mix very quiet. I like to mix very low, because for me it works out, and it is something that you want to do. You don't want to mix very high, because a lot of people make that mistake. When you're mixing, make sure your level is low, not too low that you cannot hear what you're doing, but low enough so that you can hear, but you're not fatiguing your ears, and everything is not like blaringly loud. You don't want to do that. You only get your loudness back when you're now doing the mastering, like I just showed you here. That's why I have this adaptive limiter that adapts adapts to the dynamics of the track, and then it kind of semi-adjusts and things like that. So the output ceiling is on 0 dB. Sometimes back in the day I used to put it around 0 minus 0.2 around there, or even minus 0.1. I used to do that, but nowadays I just keep the ceiling on 0 dB, and then the look ahead is right here by 50 milliseconds. So that's it. And then after this I just added a multimeter right here, right? So you can see the multimeter is here. Let me just put this down to 75 so it's smaller because it is huge. So this multimeter was for me just to take a look and visually see what everything is doing and how everything is going. So let me just play it back. So right here I can see the frequencies right there. I can tell how overall how the frequencies are in the whole track. Are they balanced? Because if everything is not balanced right here, then you know that you need to add a little bit more highs. You know what to do with your EQ that you have before. Remember, I have an EQ before here that I put in here, and I just added some some frequencies, because if I removed this EQ, my mix was going to be super unbalanced. So that's why I added that, so that it's balanced. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like every frequency be the same value. Like you can see, the high frequencies are not equal, are not the same and equally as loud as the low frequencies. I wanted my low frequencies to be higher, and then I wanted a dip right here in around 250 to 500, because those are like the muddy frequencies that I didn't want them to be too much. So you can see there's a dip right here. There's a dip right here because I didn't want my track to be super muddy and just to have all that noise, because that's where a lot of frequencies, I've figured out that a lot of frequencies gather there and they just sound horrible. They sound trash, and everything just sounds like when you're playing your music, and it sounds horrible. And over here, you can take a look at, the peak, the RMS, and the LUs right here. So that's the values here. So I can reset them like this so that it can read again. And obviously it might need more time to read, but you can just see just the short-term reading. So I like that. My LUs are minus 11, minus 12, around there. My peak is obviously at 0, and my RMS is minus 11. So for me, that's good enough. So I like this multimeter because I can see everything. I can even see how wide everything is. So I can tell when my kick hits, it is more narrower than when other instruments come in, like the drums and everything else. That's when you see the meter go wider, because the drums are much more wider, but then the kick itself it's in mono, and my bass as well. So this track is not super wide because I didn't want to add too much widening to it, because I was going to have a lot of phase issues right here. So when you check this correlation, you can see that it's in the greens, it's in a nice place, so that's what I like to do with my masters. I like to keep it there. I don't want to experiment too much at this point, because this was going to be a release. I didn't want to mess things up, but I hope you found this super helpful. I tried to share as much as I could when it comes to production of this, so that I show you what I was aiming for, what I was going for. And if you found this super helpful, make sure to drop this video a like, and also subscribe if you're new. If you have any questions, drop them down below in the comments. And while you're down there, you can also check out the description if you want to support the channel. There are links to my store where I sell templates and my audio assets, my drum kits, and everything that you can use to make amazing music. And it's everything that I use to make all my productions, even my official releases. I use everything you'll find in my store. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'm X, and I'm out. Peace.